Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Rise Talks. My name is LaShawn Adesemilolu, a tax accountant and the owner of Rise Business Solutions. We help inspired, ambitious, and motivated individuals to level up their lives, leave their 9 to 5, and start a tax preparation business. Guys, today I am so excited because we have Miss Cherie Hill. She is the founder of Avenue West Atlanta, a property management firm, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what she does and how we can get started in investing in corporate housing or doing Airbnb. So thanks so much for being on, Cherie. Can you just explain to us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. And thank you for having me to speak to your audience. So I definitely appreciate that. Like you were saying, I am one of the owners, myself, Cherie Hill, and Tyler Jackson of the Avenue West Atlanta office. We're actually a franchise, so we do have 13 other locations throughout the United States.
Wow.
And getting ready to launch in Canada as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so what we do is mainly corporate housing. And so I like to explain it this way because a lot of people are not familiar with corporate housing. So we are basically the Airbnb of the corporate world.
Oh, wow.
And that kind of helps people to understand a little bit more when I say corporate housing. So, because most people are familiar with Airbnb, however, corporate housing been around a little bit longer.
Okay.
So what we do is basically if we have corporate companies that we work with, and these companies can be, particular certain employers, and what they will do is they will actually have new hires come on, or interns, or just people from all over the world coming on to their company. Maybe they're coming down for training, and like I said, sometimes it's internship. We also do relocations as well. So these companies will actually hire a company like us to actually provide fully furnished, all-inclusive luxury units for their tenants. And average stays are anywhere between 60 days to 4 months. And the rates are pretty much top dollar rates. Nothing typically under $3,000 is the minimum. But like I said, this is fully all inclusive. So that means it's going to come with all of your furniture, your houseware, your electricity is on, your cable, your internet, your phone. So it's pretty much set up as a hotel, but it's more so where you're going to be here a little bit long term. And so that's what we do. And even the Airbnb world does that as well. Some of the Airbnb don't provide cable or phone, and some of them do, but it's also set up the same. It's just ours is just a little bit for long-term stay. And so part of it, and I would love to tell you how we can work with individuals like yourself, or maybe someone who is watching this broadcast. So on that side, we're looking actually to partner up with more people who are wanting to add that revenue of income, residual income, because we know this is a residual income business. Anytime you own property and you're getting payouts every month, that becomes residual, right? So what we do is we work exclusively with property owners, or those who just want to get in this business, whether they want to buy a house, a condo, or a townhome. We work exclusively with them with turning their properties into an actual profitable business.
Wow.
And so, yes, and so that's the benefit of it as well, is if you have a property, because traditionally we actually go with the non-furnished, that's pretty much traditional, is non-furnished, the a little bit longer. Your tenant is in there on average of 12 months if they pay their rent on time and not being evicted.
Right.
But this is a little bit different because you have the potential to earn a little bit more versus your traditional. There is a little bit more work involved. There are peak seasons. So, and that's what we do. We come in and we take care of that work. So some owners don't want to be bothered with that and don't know how to run a business out of their home. So basically you're running a hotel.
Right.
And so you may have constant people moving in and moving out. So with Airbnb, you may have every week maybe 2 to 3 people moving in and out. So that's going to be a little bit more busy for the property owner. Now with the corporate housing, you do have less people coming in and out because like I said, the average person stays days to 4 months. So it's a little bit more consistency versus Airbnb.
Right.
So I'm for both of them. You can do both of them. You definitely can. So I definitely, take advantage of it, especially right now. This is a season time. And that means that, people are coming down for the summer. They're coming down for corporate job opportunities. So a lot of people are relocating in the summertime. So it's definitely a good time. But you definitely have to treat this as a business because like I said, it is a so that means, you may have to replace some cookware every now and then,
Right.
because you want to the top of the line things in your actual business. So, and we're the one.
Okay. So if you're the specialist, you're the expert, so you let me know. So if I'm someone and I have a property, can I do this with my main home? Can I just leave and do it with my main home, or is it more advisable to just have a separate space, a separate apartment or house in order to do this type of work?
Gotcha. Okay. And it really depends on your goal. So if you're just thinking Airbnb, I want to share my space, you can definitely do that with your own home because there are some people that rent out private rooms. Mm-hmm. It just depends on how comfortable you feel about letting people into your private home. For me, my home is my sanctuary. So I'm kind of like off limits with my home. Mm-hmm. But everybody is not that way. So you can definitely do it in your home. But when it comes to corporate rentals, you can't. It has to be the entire unit because this person is going to be staying long term and their company wants them to stay somewhere private. But it really just depends on which lane you're going in.
Right.
If you're going with Airbnb, you definitely can do it. There are people that rent out rooms. The rates are not going to be as much, but you can still do it. And then you have also corporate housing. You really actually get your own unit. So give you an example. I do see people that have basements, and so that may be perfect for Airbnb.
Right.
Not corporate rentals, though.
Exactly. And you just work with corporate rentals?
We do both.
You do both?
We manage both.
Okay, got it. So if somebody is just wanting to get started, because we work with a lot of tax entrepreneurs, and everybody, Juwan is in the video again, everybody's used to him. So we work with a lot of tax entrepreneurs, and we get a windfall of money during the tax season, and we're always looking for different ways and avenues to invest in money. So if somebody's interested in doing corporate housing, is this a property that you have to buy, or can I rent a home and then contact you to furnish it and do something like that?
Yes, so you can really do either or. Now, if you are going to buy, it's always ideal because obviously when you're buying, you're going to get the better rate. Your mortgage may be a little bit cheaper versus if you rent it from somebody else. And you have a little bit more leverage, and then you can build equity. So that could be something to think about. Now, for those that want to rent, or maybe they don't have the money up front to put that large down payment, because when you're buying, this would be considered an investment property. It's going to come with a larger down payment and things like that. So you can rent. It's just when you are renting, you really need to be set up as a business. For one, you cannot just rent this out in your name and think it's going to work. Okay. So it just depends on how it's presented. But if you only want to do this for a season, then you may want to play it safe and do a rental for peak season, which is typically from February all the way up until September or so. So you want to make sure you're doing a short-term lease then. That way you're covering yourself because there is going to be a slow season. Slow season doesn't mean nothing is going on, but it's just a little bit slower. So in the peak season, you can charge more. So you do want to take advantage of that. So if you know you're going to be renting, you can have more control over your leases that you do take out. So if you approach a landlord, you can say, okay, can I do it for 6 months? And make sure you let them know the intentions as well, that this is more for a corporate housing company and things like that. So it's all about negotiating, so they'll know what's going on in their company. And so that's kind of what I'm getting at, because sometimes when you are doing it with leases, especially if you're working with private owners, they may mind and they may not mind. They may want some extra money, so it just depends. So, but it can be done. And honestly, if you're just starting out, I don't see anything wrong with doing leases. But eventually, when you get enough money and you stack it up and you understand the business more, I would definitely recommend you to start buying.
Got it. Okay, so let's say that we purchased a property and then we want to work with you, Sheree, to get started in corporate housing. Is there a checklist that you give people that work with you about things that they want to already have in place, or is that something that you just kind of do yourself?
It just depends. We have different packages. So if the property owner wants to do everything themselves as far as the setup, because the setup takes some work, then we would definitely give them the checklist, and they would need to go and purchase all of the houseware and everything that they're going to need. And certain type of furniture you want to purchase, you want to make sure you're getting good quality furniture that's going to last you some time. You may want to get a sofa bed and different things like that. So you just want to make sure you're just getting advice on getting the right things, because not every type of furniture is designed for long-term or short-term rentals. So we definitely provide a document sheet or a checklist, so that way you can go through it. And then also too, if we do it, we have where you can actually purchase it from us, and you can actually buy it in a bulk, so that can kind of take the stress off.
Got it. And you do the staging as well?
Yes, we do staging as well. Because in this industry, if you are going to be doing the Airbnbs, it's pretty, it's kind of different from corporate, just to kind of let you know. Corporate is, Airbnb is more, you have a lot of competition. Right. And so you definitely make sure you're staging it, and the presentation that you're presenting is appealing to the audience. Right. Because that's what gets attention, is a picture. And so you want to make sure you're staged right. In the corporate world, it's a little different, because the picture may not get their attention. It's more so about the relationships.
I see. Okay. And I think that's key that you said that. So when you say the relationship, meaning, can you just expand more on that?
Yes, us being a corporate company, we're actually one of the #1 corporate housing companies in the United States. Meaning we built a reputation, and we just built that relationships with some of the actual employers. And just having different contracts and going out and knowing the relocation companies here in Atlanta and some apartment complexes in Atlanta, and just some of the employers. So that's kind of what I mean by relationships, is that, they can call on us and say, hey, do you have a unit moving in from June 1st to October? And we're like, yeah, we got, Shirley's place. So that's definitely what I mean with relations. Now, on the Airbnb, that's kind of different. They go on the Airbnb website, or they may go on some other sites, and, they're kind of looking at the pictures, and they may look at your reviews too. Right. But not necessarily. It just depends. Right.
So with the corporate housing, I know sometimes, because we actually have done Airbnb as well, and we've gotten people that come to us and wanted a long-term, over a month. And there's always that hesitance or fear about, what if they start squatting, or what if they don't leave? What are the tenant laws against that? Is that ever a worry in corporate housing? Have you ever seen that happen, where somebody just will not leave?
Well, that can happen in real estate, period.
Right.
Now, does it really happen like that in the corporate world? Not so much, because these are actual corporate companies. We do our due diligence on every company, because you can't just come up and say I work for Sally Mae, and we kind of verify those things just to kind of prevent that.
Right.
And kind of like if there's a relocation client, because we also do relocation clients, then we'll check their background. We're checking for evictions. We're checking to see if they have fraud on them and things like that to kind of prevent that.
Okay.
Because this is Atlanta, and I believe Atlanta is #1 in the frauds. So, but as far as the corporate roles go, a lot of times we already know the employer, and so we know they're pretty good to go. And so there's not a time where they don't pay or we have to evict somebody. That ever happened in the industry. Yes. And so that's all about doing your due diligence just to make sure. And we do take their money up front. So for the most part, especially when we don't know them, if we don't have a relationship, then if they're moving in on the 15th of the month, then they need to pay from the 15th to the 15th. So we want their money. We want a credit card. So.
Right. And it's actually the employer that you work through, not the employee, but the actual employer. Is that correct?
It's actually the employer. So, and sometimes some companies will send their employees to find the place. So in some cases, because we don't know that employee, we need to do a background check on it. Even though their company is paying for it, then we still have to treat them as an individual.
Okay, got it. So if somebody is interested in getting started in corporate housing and we have a home, I think you mentioned that should it already be furnished, or it just depends on what you can help furnish it?
Yeah, we take people because you don't know what to do, right? So, I mean, you do need to have a budget, of course, and things like that. I definitely recommend you just do a consultation with us so we can guide you, because it's about the location. It's about, how many bedrooms, what floor level you're going to be on. So you want to make sure you're setting yourself up to win and not to fail. So I definitely say if you're just starting, do a consultation with us. Find out if you want to kind of do it yourself. We do the managing side, but if you want to do the setup side yourself, or if you want to just hire us to do, you can have it furnished, but we will do kind of like an inspection to see, because you can't have tore furniture,
Right.
And so, if we see, okay, this furniture is in poor condition, and I wouldn't stay here. And so that's what it's about. Would you stay here? So,
Right.
So we will do that first contact, walk in your property. If it's unfurnished, we will, coordinate that for you to help you to get furnished. If you want to do it yourself, even if you know you're going to do this long term, you need to buy. If you know you're doing it for a season, you may just want to rent your furniture, and we can direct you with that of who to rent it from at a better price.
Got it. Okay, so now I don't know, I don't want you to get in any trouble, but do you have any stories or, about somebody maybe with raggedy furniture, or just any funny stories that have happened to you while you've been in this industry?
Well, not about the furniture, but you did mention about the
squatters. I knew it.
Like
I knew it.
The squatters. And so we did have someone that tried to, but we caught it. We caught him, and it turned out this guy, he was trying to move in quick, and so you just got to pay attention to those that trying to move in so quickly,
Right.
And he gave us a different name, and then when we got his ID, it was a different name,
Right.
And then after looking at everything, we found out that he was known for fraud. He's been evicted. Like 5 different eviction cases on him. He was even, like, when I Googled his name, it showed scam alert, and there was all of these women that were saying how he conned them out of money, and
oh my goodness.
But and I met him, and he was well dressed, nice, clean guy. Didn't have anything, and he was really trying to move it without paying. So, but we definitely caught it ahead.
And I think that that's probably why it would be advisable to have people like you guys who are specialists in this and experts, because, even when I get these requests from Airbnb, I don't know what to look for. So you guys have been around the block. You know what to look for. You have experience. So I think that that's definitely something to be said about that. Okay, so we talked
Yeah, and
about.
someone like you, based on what you're saying, because this is your property, so you want to be more protective of your property. Someone like you may be an ideal candidate for the corporate side because it's
Yeah.
less risk. It's less risk here on your property. You're not having people coming in and out, like twice a week. So,
Right.
so you may be a better candidate for more of a long-term, stable client.
Does it matter what
It's
part?
short term, but
Mm-hmm. Does it matter, like, what if you are in the suburbs and you're not close to like downtown or other areas? Does that matter at all?
it does. It matters in Airbnb and it matters in the corporate world. You want to make sure if you're doing corporate, and that's why I said it. I think anybody that's considering, they want to make sure they talk to a specialist because you don't want to get the wrong property. You want to always do your research and your due diligence on that area and find out how many people are going in there. You can look on Airbnb as well and just kind of search that area to see. You can look at other people's captures, right? You kind of get an idea, if it's leasing or not. But even in the corporate world, but in the corporate world, I would definitely say there's safe areas and then there's risky areas. A lot of corporate areas. So you want to be near where the corporate employers are. So you'll be surprised. There are great demand in certain areas like Alpharetta or Marietta, which is kind of in the suburbs, but not in that Buckhead or Midtown. So some areas I would just ask first.
Right.
Definitely ask, and you can do some of your own due diligence by just going on Airbnb and kind of taking a look to see and seeing what are they charging per night.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you do it through corporate housing, how often can you get paid?
We don't do anything less than 30 days.
Okay.
So, you're staying a full month.
Okay.
So you would get paid once that month. So
got it. All right. Well, do you think that
unless you moved in at the middle of the month, because like I said, they moved in on the 15th and we're doing it from the 15th of May to the 15th of June. If somebody else moved in on the 16th, that's how we would do it. But we don't do anything less than 30 days, nor do we get a request for less than 30 days.
Okay. So we would sign a contract with you for a certain term, and then you would just handle people coming in and out, cleaning the property, things like that?
Yeah, so we definitely would do a contract because it's a property management agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we will handle anything as far as, what's needed for the actual property. So there are times where, the smoke alarm went off. Well, we need to schedule a repairman to come out. Or, there's cleaning that needs to be done, So, and sometimes they request cleaning throughout their stay. And even just so much as just the maintenance and keeping up with your property. But we also handle the tenant side as well because they're a little bit more demanding than you guys would be. So.
Right. So,
and that's why we like to have everything in place and make sure it's working to kind of cut down on that demand.
Right. So it just sparked a question in my head. So let's say that something went wrong with the oven or some type of appliance. Who would be responsible for that? Is it something that we should have in place as owners or as a property management company? Would you guys handle that, or what would happen?
As owners, you're responsible for the expense. However, we are responsible for making sure it gets done, especially because if there's an oven not working, we cannot wait 3 or 4 days. If so, we have to move the tenant out and put them somewhere else. So now we do ask that for a retainer on file. So that way we're not constantly bugging you. If it's over a certain amount, under a certain amount, we can just go in and get it done, and send you the invoice and let you know this came out of your retainer. So, it's always good to have that working capital just in case. If you're in an apartment complex or something like that and you got somebody else doing the maintenance, then hey, that's perfect because we can just call them and request it and they'll come out. And so that's less expense because it is a business. So that's less business expense that you would occur. If you have a home warranty, that's perfect, but just know home warranties don't move fast and they don't always pay for that. So having that, if they can reimburse you, that's something that you, of course, want to work out. So.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask about it because they do not move fast. You're absolutely right about that.
They don't move fast. If the oven is not working, AC is not working, something as an emergency, then their employer is going to request that we find them another unit if we cannot get it fixed within a timely manner.
Wow. This all just sounds so amazing. So I know it's going to depend on the type of property in the area, but is there a ballpark or can you just give us some ideas on what type of figures we can make doing this full time for the year?
That's kind of hard to answer, but I can tell you how much you can expect from 1 to 2s to 3 bedrooms.
Okay.
And yeah, so 1 bedrooms are typically anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000. I know that's a big range, but the reason is because it depends on the area. It also depends, if you're in a nice unit like this, and it could be going for a little bit more, versus if you're in something that's not as nice.
Right.
So, and if you're in those popular areas too, so that makes a difference. So if you're in Midtown, Buckhead, those are going to be the more top dollar places, especially Midtown. This is Midtown. Sandy Springs is a good area. Dunwoody's a good area as well. 2 bedrooms can go anywhere between $3,800 all the way up into the $5,000s.
Are we talking about per month here?
Yeah, for what we would lease them.
Okay.
And then you have 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms is what I would call a risk factor. If you were just starting out, I don't know if I would recommend you do that because they're not requested as much. So that could be a risk factor. So, but 3 bedrooms will go for a little bit more. You can, depending on where it's at. If it's not in a good area, then we can't obviously offer as much, but if it's in a good area, you could literally get anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 and the 5,000s for it.
Wow.
We have one that's not in the best area. It's in College Park or inside.
Okay.
And then you is, like I said, there's a peak season. You can typically expect your unit to be rented out at least 84% for sure out of the year, depending on where you're located. And that's why I would say Airbnb, you should kind of have a balance of the two. So when you're in your slow season corporate, then you need to make sure you put your unit on Airbnb. So you want to do something like that. And some units, like this unit, we pretty much keep it rented out for the whole year, but it's based on the location. So there's a lot to look at in this, So location is key. You've been in the real estate industry, you'll know that too. Location.
Definitely, absolutely. Okay, so just to recap, so Airbnb is mostly about the reviews, where corporate housing is about relationships. So it's better to align yourself with a company like yours that already has the relationships in place. And then we don't have to worry about doing so much because you have contracts and you have you can help us wherever stage we are to make this happen for us, right?
Yeah, we could even help you get started, set up as a business. I mean, you need to be a legit in order to. But yeah.
Awesome. So how can we contact you if we're ready to get started?
You can actually email us. That would be best at Atlanta@avenuewest.com.
Atlanta@avenuewest.com. Okay. And you mentioned you're in other states and area as well?
Our company is. However, myself and Tyler Jackson, we actually only run the Atlanta office.
Okay, all right, got it,
So
got it.
if there's someone that's watching and they're in other states, they can actually go to our main website at www.avenuewest.com, and then they can actually see all of our locations.
Okay,
I know it's Denver, Arizona, Dallas, San Francisco, Las Vegas. Um, there's some more, and I just can't think of them.
awesome. Okay, so avenuewest.com. Do you have your own separate website, or is that where somebody can contact you as well?
It's www.atlanta.avenuewest.com.
Atlanta.avenuewest.com. Okay, great. And then we can contact you that way. So I actually myself, Sherry, would love to set up maybe a consultation to see what we can do about this property that I have, if that could be
Awesome,
something.
awesome.
So we can definitely
Yes,
talk about that.
yes. And I want to thank you for meeting with me and having me on your show.
Yes, it's absolutely been a pleasure. I know that somebody will find this valuable. Again, guys, you can go to her website at www.atlantaavenuewest.com or email her at avenue at
Email me at Atlanta
Atlanta.
at Avenue West.
Atlanta@avenuewest.com. So we really appreciate you coming on and sharing that information with everybody. We really, really appreciate it, guys. Make sure that you contact her. It's all about having different streams of income. It's very important. So thank you so much, Sherry. I'll be contacting you. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.